come to my family, it's all because I couldn't love a motherless child.
You are a Stark. You might not have my name, but you have my blood.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. We got our first official Game of Thrones Season 8 teaser trailer and an official release date, which is way earlier than I expected, so we gotta break it down. There's a new round of that Song of Ice and Fire book giveaway going on too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment from the trailer on the video. The big thing going on here, mostly a lot of imagery. I don't know if any of these scenes actually happen during the episodes, but they will probably visit the crypts sometime in the first couple of episodes. But obviously, most of that first scene is them arriving like Robert Baratheon arrived in the pilot episode.
Winterfell is yours, Your Grace.
There's also another really big Easter egg in here for the pilot episode when Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark were walking through the crypts to go to Lyanna's statue. So if you don't remember, they're really mirroring the Long Walk promo that we got last year. It was sort of like the first big teaser with Jon, Daenerys, and Cersei each walking to their thrones, but obviously this is focusing mostly on the Starks at Winterfell because that's where we're going to be when the season picks up. And there's a lot of heavy-handed foreshadowing about them dealing with Jon's Targaryen heritage and what his internal struggle is going to be over his true identity. Am I a Targaryen? Am I a Stark of Winterfell? So Jon walks past his mother, Lyanna Stark, and the feather floats down. It's a tropical bird feather. The big Easter egg is this is the feather that Robert Baratheon brought to her tomb when he arrived and they went down to visit. That was the whole reason for them going to the crypts. That was actually kind of a funny scene when you think about it in retrospect, because they arrived, had the formal introduction, and then he basically told Cersei to screw off because he was going to the crypts before he did anything else to visit his long-lost love who had died. But remember, at this point, we didn't know anything about the truth of Robert's rebellion and Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark. So they're walking through the crypts and he puts a tropical bird feather, like he's basically leaving something special for the woman that he loved. Then later Dan and Dave had a special quote about trying to bring that moment back, bring the feather back. They said the last time we saw the statue of Lyanna was in the pilot episode. King Robert Baratheon laid this exotic tropical bird feather in her hand, and we were preparing for the scene. We thought with Sansa that the feather's probably still there. People haven't been going down there and cleaning up much. Certainly after Ramsay destroyed Winterfell, there hasn't been any kind of janitorial crew going down and vacuuming, so they just thought that it would be a really cool Easter egg for the pilot episode in that original moment, that the feather is still there all the way since the beginning of the show, and now they're bringing it back, because they're finally paying off Jon's Targaryen heritage, that Lyanna Stark is his mother. So even though it's a really cool Easter egg for the pilot, it's actually a much bigger Easter egg for everything that's going on in general. But as Jon walks past his mother's monument, you hear the Lyanna Stark voiceover, "Promise me you have to protect him," the promise that she extracted from Ned Stark when he was born. He pauses and turns around like he hears something, as if he's hearing her through time and space. Like obviously Bran can do that for real, but we don't know the circumstances of how Samwell and Bran are going to reveal that information to him. But him turning around here is just them foreshadowing him finding out about his true heritage. Sansa walks past Catelyn Stark's statue, and there's this line of dialogue, if you don't remember when she gave this speech. This is from her conversation with Talisa in Season 3, Episode 2, Dark Wings, Dark Words, when she's talking about her children and how badly she regrets treating Jon Snow like crap his whole life. She talks about all the horror that's come to her family, the War of the Five Kings, the death of Ned Stark, Bran getting pushed out the window, Theon sacking Winterfell, like basically the worst possible things imaginable happening to all of her children, least to say Sansa, who was stuck in King's Landing at the mercy of Joffrey and the Lannisters. So this is mostly a speech teeing up Ned Stark's speech that we get a little bit later in the teaser, where she's basically saying that I should have loved him more, like he's part of our family even though he might be a bastard. Because remember, she had no idea of his true heritage. You see Arya finally walking through the crypts while this Catelyn Stark voiceover talking about Jon Snow is happening, and it really becomes more of them foreshadowing the other Stark children learning Jon's true heritage and how it's going to affect their familial relationship as Starks. Is he going to be a Stark of Winterfell? Are they going to treat him like a Targaryen? I've already done a couple videos talking about Arya Stark during Season 8 and her history with Jon Snow. He's one of the few other Stark children that she was close to growing up, so their reunion is obviously going to be a really big moment. So of all the Starks, I think that she'll probably be the least affected by this big knowledge bomb that Bran's going to drop on them. But then they cut to Jon walking past Ned Stark's statue, and it's the speech that Ned gave him before he rode off to the wall in Season 1, Episode 2. You might not have my name, but you're a Stark. You have my blood, which is technically true. The next time we meet, we'll talk about your mother. So technically, if he comes back to the crypts of Winterfell, they will probably be talking about Lyanna Stark after he finds out. So they will find a roundabout way to pay off that moment. Even though technically Ned Stark is dead, he'll be standing near his statue in the crypts. But the way they cut the speech as they're all coming together is really paying more reference to the Lone Wolf Dies, the Pack Survives speech that we got for all the Season 7 teasers. Like, even though we had all that Arya-Sansa drama during Season 7, that was mostly meant to catalyze them. Lone Wolf Dies, Pack Survives. So that was kind of the thing they were trying to pay off with their arc, and obviously that's still very important this season, only now it's more focused on Jon Snow, his heritage, in the fact that they all might die. So that's sort of the way they end the teaser. This really WTF reaction where they turn around as if they're seeing visions of their death, like all of their statues in the crypts. So even though we have lots of death predictions to talk about, I'm sure I'll do a video about that sometime before the season starts. This is just HBO raising the question, like, we all might die, because just as they turn around, the winds of winter blow out Jon's torch, and then the ice starts to cover the tropical bird feather that was on Lyanna Stark's statue. Obviously just teasing the coming of the Night King and his army. They all start to draw their swords. Jon draws Longclaw, Arya draws Needle, but you also see the Valyrian dagger on her hip there, so she will be fighting with that, but Needle is her primary weapon. I would not be surprised if they find a way to pay off, stick them with the pointy end when she and Jon are sharing some scenes together before some big battle. Like, as they ride off, you hear him say it again. Don't forget, stick the White Walkers with the pointy end. Although technically she'd want to stick them with the pointy end of the Valyrian dagger. But the other big reason that you all probably detected that we're having this Winterfell teaser as the first big one is because that's where the first big battle with the Night King is going to take place in the White Walkers. Now obviously he has to wind his way down with the Army of the Dead through the last hearth in the Karstarks, RIP. Say your goodbyes to them if they're not all still holed up at Winterfell. They're probably actually still people that live up there, but I think the idea is that most of the armies are massing at Winterfell. So there are probably not that many able-bodied soldiers left at those castles, so it's not nearly as bad as it could be. I know you're all probably disappointed that there's no Ghost in this teaser. I think they were trying to do something that was the least spoilery option that they had, and it's really expensive to do the special effects for Ghost. He is a part of the season. Ghost will be coming back during Season 8. He's at Winterfell right now. There was a deleted scene from Season 7 where Jon is leaving to go treat with Daenerys and try to form the alliance, where he says goodbye to Ghost. They have a really nice scene. They wrote it, they shot it, it was all good to go, but at the last minute they had to cut it for time. They just decided not to include it. But don't worry, final season, Ghost, one of the few direwolves, along with Nymeria that are still alive. Obviously, he'll be a big part of the battle against the Night King. So that's why the episodes are so big and they spent so much money on it, so that they could pay off all those big things. And we wouldn't have to go another season asking, hey, wait a minute, they're up at Winterfell walking around. Ghost never leaves Jon's side. Where is he right now? Why isn't he in frame? So do not be surprised if you see him pop up during that next big trailer that they release, which might be February, early March, but obviously there's so many other characters, so many other storylines to pay off. We'll see all that stuff when they start dropping proper trailers. So we'll get more with Daenerys, we'll learn more about the dynamic between her and the people at Winterfell. We've already got a little teaser for that. We haven't seen anything of Cersei, the Golden Company, Euron Greyjoy, or anyone at King's Landing yet. That'll also probably be in that first trailer. We don't really know exactly what their marketing campaign's going to be like, so I don't know if they're going to try and break this up into different camps and release separate teasers, or if it'll just be another proper trailer the next time we actually get footage. But the real big news is that the premiere is happening April 14th, way earlier than I thought. I didn't think it was going to be till like the week after that at the earliest, because what happened is, the reason why we're getting it earlier, which is great, is because they're doubling up on episodes of True Detective and probably Big Little Lies. So I can't remember the last time HBO did that, but I think they all sense that everybody wants the season as fast as possible. It'll be 1 episode per week for 6 episodes. Just a reminder, some people are still surprised that they're only doing 6 episodes. What'll happen is there'll be more promos, more trailers, all kinds of EPK and footage that they'll be dropping, so I'll do videos for everything. Leave all your requests in the comments below. And what I might do is I might do a Q&A video sometime next week for the trailer. So if you have any specific questions that you want me to include on that, just let me know in the comments. But click here to rewatch that opening scene of Jon and Daenerys arriving at Winterfell from Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 1, and click here for all my other Game of Thrones Season 8 promos. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.